Are youth sexually active? In the two previous videos, we learned that youth sexual activity can very negatively impact youth physically, relationally, emotionally, and even economically. The next question then should be, well, are youth sexually active? If youth are not sexually active, then there's nothing to worry about. So let's find out. Hi, Phil here from Peace, where we have been guiding parents and youth on healthy sexuality for over 20 years. Welcome to the Targeting Success for Youth video series. This is video 4 in a 6-video series designed to equip parents and youth leaders to empower youth to make the healthiest decisions around the important issue of teen sexuality. In the overview video, we said that our goal is to get our kids from the island of childhood to the shoreline of adulthood where they can begin achieving their life goals. Our most important job, however, is to get them across the risky waters of the youth years where teen sex can have a negative impact on life goal achievement. As mentioned in the previous two videos, we have found out that teen sexual activity can have negative lifelong consequences. So, are youth sexually active? To answer this question, let's consider 3 subtopics. Let's define human sexual activity. Second, we will look at the Canadian data about youth sexual activity. And third, what are the factors affecting youth sex? Why are some youth involved sexually and others are not? Well, what is sexual activity? Sexual activity is any activity that induces sexual arousal. This can include deep kissing, sexual touch above the waist, sexual touch below the waist, oral sex, anal sex, or vaginal sex. We know it as intercourse. Next subtopic, are youth sexually active? A Canadian Pediatric Society report provides some excellent insight. When it comes to 14-year-olds, only 9% have engaged in intercourse, 30% oral sex, 67% deep kissing, 61% sexual touch above the waist, and 53% sexual touch below the waist. The report demonstrates that as youth get older, by 16, sexual engagement levels do increase. However, it's important to note that by 16, only 24% have had intercourse. So 76% have not. But youth are engaging sexually in other ways. So, according to this report, yes, Canadian youth are involved sexually in different ways. Some people say to me, Bill, come on, our kids go to church. Church kids aren't involved sexually. Well, let's look at a report that compares the level of sexual activity of non-faith youth to faith youth. According to this report, about 49% of 15 to 17-year-olds who do not attend church have engaged in sexual activity. The 3 faith groups reported, Catholic, Mainline Protestant, and Evangelical Protestant, have engaged in sex at a rate just below the non-faith youth, but still very involved sexually. When it comes to multiple partners, youth 15 to 17 years that have engaged in oral, anal, or vaginal sex with 2 or 3 partners of the opposite sex, the no-faith boys, about 38%, have had 2 or 3 different opposite sex partners. Catholic and Main Street Protestant are at about the same level. Good news for the Evangelical Protestant boys, who are at half that rate. When it comes to the girls in the no-faith group, about 28% have engaged with 2 or 3 opposite sex partners. The girls in all the faith groups have engaged with 2 or 3 partners at a rate that is 35% higher than the no-faith girls. When it comes to 15 to 17-year-olds who have had 4 or more sexual partners, about 22% of boys and girls in the no-faith group have had 4 or more sexual partners. If you go across to the Evangelical Protestants, you can see that these youth are engaging with 4 or more sexual partners at a rate that is 50% higher than the no-faith group. So, it's important for parents to understand this issue does apply to church families. What are the factors influencing youth sexual activity? Why are some kids sexually active and others are not? We have a detailed report called Factors Influencing Youth Sexual Activity that compares the characteristics of sexually active youth to abstinent youth. Let's highlight a few of the characteristics. When it comes to personality, sexually active youth tend to be more impulsive and depressed. When it comes to self-esteem, sexually active youth have either a very low self-esteem or an overinflated self-esteem. Abstinent youth tend to be self-determined. They believe that they have control over what happens to them. In addition, they tend to be able to better regulate their emotions. When it comes to parents and their relationship with youth, sexually active youth tend to have insecure connectedness to their parents and are generally less supervised. Abstinent youth tend to be connected to their parents. They do things together. This can be as simple as having supper as a family or enjoying a weekly game night. These youth also tend to be better supervised. Parents know where their kids are, who they're with, and have input into helping their kids select good friends. When it comes to media, there is sexual content in all forms of media, and youth are bombarded with sexual messaging every day. When it comes to media, sexually engaged youth have very high screen time. Abstinent youth have limited screen time, and parents tend to spend time discussing sexual content messaging, helping the kids to understand why it can be harmful to them. When it comes to internet porn, sexually engaged youth have had frequent access to internet porn, and this has influenced their ideas about what sexual activity is all about. And when they do get involved sexually, it is to imitate what they have seen in porn videos. Abstinent youth families tend to have internet filters on their devices, and parents spend time preparing their kids for exposure to pornography. They talk about it and how it can negatively impact. Let's stop. Let's go back. They talk about it and how it can negatively impact your life. The peers of sexually engaged youth tend to be permissive and risk takers, whereas peers of abstinent youth are risk avoidant and have positive values. Sexually active youth are not involved in their community, but abstinent youth tend to volunteer and be involved in extracurricular activities. Finally, when it comes to their personal sex ed values, sexually engaged youth have been provided with information that emphasizes reducing risk to use a condom, whereas abstinent youth have been provided with messaging that is more risk avoidant. In addition, it's more likely that abstinent youth have had this avoidance message shared with them many times from a very young age. Some would say that instead of one 100-minute lecture at age 15, these youth have benefited from 100 one-minute talks throughout life. The factors influencing youth sexual activity is a detailed examination of youth sexual activity. It gives parents and youth leaders a big hint as to what we can be doing to help guide our youth so that they choose to avoid sexual activity, ideally until marriage. So please access that report. So, in conclusion, are youth sexually active? Yes, and in many different ways. So far, we have learned that youth sex can significantly interfere with youth achieving their life goals, and that youth are sexually active. But we have also learned that there are factors influencing youth sexual activity that suggest that it is very possible to help our youth to make better choices. It is our responsibility to guide our youth on this most important life issue. Thank you for your interest and your concern for the well-being of the next generation. In the next 2 videos, you will learn about the strategies to guide youth and who should be guiding youth on this most important life issue. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care and God bless.